Assalamu alaikum. Hi, Oracle Reiki Spiritual Healer. And today we are talking about part 2 of weaponizing the system. Weaponizing the system against black and brown people. And in reality, we're talking about weaponizing religion against the most vulnerable among us. So religion has given certain groups of us permission to take the word of God out of context. A lot of the men and women in society who have been, inserted into our lives as pastors, even parents, mothers, fathers, uncles, aunts, they have been inserted into our lives to misinterpret the word on purpose in order for control, the way that the entity has given over into misinterpretation in the Bible. The way that we understand this is that, there are certain verses in the Bible to tell the slaves to obey their masters, even if they are under duress, even if they are being unalive. So, who is going to stand around and let you use and abuse them because you're saying that this is the word of God? So again, a lot of the book has been changed in order to misinterpret and to have men and women in our lives misinterpret the system in order to harm and abuse the people in our lives. We are having the men, and I have to make sure that I give you always the men first, because God created the man first. We have these men with the wolf spirit who would attack and abuse the women inside the home, would not provide for the women and the children inside the home, that will essay their own children. And, we also have this wolf spirit that has been given to them by the entity in order to carry out these atrocities inside the home, inside the community. And these people, these men who carry this wolf spirit, will misinterpret the holy word. And, like I have been giving you, verses that they love to misquote. A man would rather be on a rooftop than be in a home with a warring woman. Okay, so what happens when we are given over into understanding that can be a warring person, can be either male or female? What happens to the male is that they no longer have anyone to point the finger at for their greed, for their misconduct, for their alignment with the entity, to SA their own daughters, abuse their women, and be in alignment with the colonizer and that behavior that was given to them by the colonizer, to have that wolf spirit, to be destructive in the household with finances, greedy, create things that they cannot take care of, other families, fornication, outside of the wedlock, so that it creates all of these diseases. Now, we also have to look at the wolf spirit that has been given to some women as well, who will uphold these men, these people, by misquoting religion, that he is the head of the house, and therefore, he should be, exalted and followed without any kind of forethought. You should be, in alignment with the entity and follow something wrong. So a lot of these women who embody this wolf spirit as well, who misinterpret the word, will also follow these men because they are able to control them with fornication, with sex, letting them, essay their young children, their daughters, their sons, grape them inside the home, inside the community, without any kind of accountability. So these are the understandings that we have with these women, that control will go over into the entity, giving them power over things that they want to do in society. People that they want to attack and crush who do not align with that. They will be, you will know them by, their Europeanized features. They have given themselves into that kind of belief system that the Europeans, is better looking, is a better quality. They will have everything fake on. They will, will make the younger generation believe that it is okay to be fake. The men also with this spirit will let the younger people understand that it's okay to align yourself with something that's fake, the Europeanized way. So we want to make sure that when we have this understanding that fake hair, fake nails, everything that is fake upon these people, this is what they have aligned themselves. They're in agreement with the entity, and they should be disregarded. What they're saying should be disregarded, because they are the manipulators in the relationship, in the community, in the household. And, and many times they are coons in the black and brown society, family, household, inside the dynamic, when we get on a different level in community where we are supposed to be in unity, they will be against that. They will seek for individualization with, a religion against their own people, something that has been given to them by the colonizer. And again, we are looking at this also in a different aspect, that, how religion has been weaponized against us, as we're seeing now in society, where they are taking away the assistance of housing, EBT, Medicaid for the elderly. And, and it's basically not only going to affect black people, but it's going to affect white people who are the majority on these programs and need this assistance in order to, be able to survive, especially the elderly. I'm looking at online a lot of the elderly people who are becoming homeless, a lot of the women who are becoming homeless, white and black. And a lot of them are going to, be held accountable for the way that they have elected a tyrant into the leadership of this country. And it is the same of electing a tyrant over your church, electing a tyrant over your finances, to handle anything for you when you know that their heart is corrupt. So this is the way that we have been, we have been set up on and attacked by the narcissists who are high up in the government, in the churches, in the leadership, and it has been handed down, in the lower parts of our communities and our homes. And we have to, identify those people. We have to call them out. We have to identify those men and women who have aligned themselves with weaponizing the religious word against its own people, against the people in the community, in the home, in the church, in our protected spaces, who would harm those people who are more vulnerable than they are. Now, what we have to understand when I'm talking about, weaponizing and the wolf spirit, see, most of us who are chosen ones have a wolf spirit, and usually we will use that wolf spirit in order to protect our own people, the most vulnerable, the elderly, the children, the women. But when we have given ourselves over into an entity, the men and women will be against their own people. So we have to understand, using our gifts, using our discernment, men and women, we can see these people for who they are when they are in alignment with the entity, when they are weaponizing the system, whether it is the court system, whether it is, the religious spaces where we are, or whether it is in our homes or communities where we live at. They have used these systems in order to bring us into a low vibration and into alignment, especially the elder generations, into alignment with the entity by misinterpreting the holy word, by, on purpose, by misinterpreting the word in the homes and in the churches, in the holy spaces where we go to worship, where we pay these people. And so therefore there is a decline. There is a decline in the church, and there is a decline on the home front, where these men and women are being exposed for being in alignment. And we have to continue to do so in order to separate them from the real people of God, the chosen ones of God, the ones who are not greedy, the ones who are standing in their power and telling the truth about these entities that would be readily available to harm you, because they don't want to be exposed in society, because they don't want their mask to slip in the church. It is the same thing that, there are lower levels to these demonic people, than the high tyrants that are in government right now. They have sent their little minions in order to, carry out these atrocities, even prior, back in biblical times, to change the book in order to make these books and make these attacks upon the people, even back way in those times. And it still holds power today, that we're unable to break these attacks or see these people for who they are. They are being called out in this generation, so that we understand that God is separating us from those who want to be with their master, who have given them the book in order to misinterpret and to control the chosen ones for harm, for stalking, gang stalking, and to misinterpret in the homes and in the spaces, and carry over into the jobs, and attack by the and I every time I get to this word, I always forget it, but to attack people with their mouths, and their hearts and their minds, in order to, bring them into a low vibrational state. And I just wanted to bring you this, inspirational word today. We're looking out for those shapeshifters, those wolves in sheep clothing. We're calling them out. We're letting them know that you have been exposed. You can no longer hide. It doesn't matter where you are. The truth does not change before God. And we have to be, in a alignment with God in order to hear and see and have the discernment to expose these people. We can no longer let them flourish in society and get away with their behavior and conduct, with weaponizing the system, the religious system, against the vulnerable. When, the vulnerable among us hurt, when the vulnerable among us are unalive, we are hurt. We are unalive. So, let us understand that this is how we want to make sure that we are calling out these people. We are using our discernment, and we are able to understand who they are in our society, who they are, men and women in our society. So I hope that this has helped you. Please like, share, and subscribe to me over all of my platforms. Reach out to me in the description below and donate. Leave a comment for me. Let me know how you like it. If you're liking my content, you can book your one-on-one sessions with me. You can book your life coaching sessions. I'm High Oracle, Reiki spiritual healer. Assalamu alaikum.